Welcome back. We are days away from a potential strike by 45,000 dock workers at more than 24 ports along the east and Gulf coasts. Negotiations remain at a standstill with half of the nation's cargo in limbo. Trucking companies are scrambling to move products off ships before things potentially grind to a halt on Tuesday. And now major shipping companies say they will be slapping a port disruption surcharge on all cargo coming to or from these terminals if a strike does go through. Joining me now is American Trucking Association's president and CEO, Chris Spear. Chris, great to have you. Thanks very much for being here. What's your reaction to this, and where do you think this is going?
Well, Maria, thanks for having me. I think the impact, if this strike occurs next Tuesday, is going to be significant, not just on the economy, but Americans, everybody that's in need of goods each day are going to feel the impact that this is going to have. We're talking 36 ports in the East and Gulf Coast that are represented here. 5 of the top 10 in the country are going to shut down on Tuesday. We're moving 12,000 trucks daily at Port of New York, New Jersey. This is very significant, especially on farmers. We're talking nearly half of the goods exported out of our ports come from these East Coast ports. We're talking produce, poultry, cotton. This is very significant on our farmers. That produce is going to be felt first in week 1 if this were to occur. People are going to have limited choice, and they're going to pay a lot more for it. So I appreciate you paying attention to this because it's coming.
Well, this is a great point that you're making. So produce gets hit first. And I was thinking that the real impact would be inflationary because obviously the supply-demand dynamics leads to higher prices for things. We're just trying to get inflation down, and perhaps we see another spike as a result of this.
Absolutely, and trucks are the glue in all of this. Whether you move it on truck or rail, trucks are still going to move that last mile. And we're talking, large companies, but also the medium and small companies, independent contractors, owner-operators. They're going to get hung out to dry if these ports shut. So beyond the 85,000 ILA workers, we're talking thousands of other workers that support the supply chain. It's going to take a long time after a week to 2 weeks of shutdown for the economy to recover. So inflation is definitely an outcome from this.
Yeah, so if the truckers take on more load, doesn't that mean we see an impact to gasoline prices? I mean, oil prices have come off of the highs in the last couple of months. Does that reverse?
Absolutely. I think you're going to see repercussions that are going to last. So every week is about a month, 2-3 weeks, push out into a quarter to 2 quarters. You could see this spilling well into 2025. Having real repercussions. If the longer it plays out, the more impact you're going to have. So 36 ports, East Coast, Gulf Coast, this is very significant to the American economy. You can't reroute all this through the West Coast. So shutting down for terms and conditions that are completely out of reach, 70% pay increase, that's what the ILA is asking for. I think you and I would love a 70% pay increase, but that's not reality. So they need to come to the table. They need to get reasonable, and they need to get a deal.
Well, the last time the Biden-Harris administration got involved in the strike negotiations, the workers got what they wanted. So I wonder where this goes. I mean, obviously the timing was on purpose, intentional timing right before the election. I'm wondering if, in fact, you do see Biden or Harris intervene here and perhaps give the workers what they want. How does this play out?
Well, if they're consistent, they're not going to come to the table. They haven't yet, and we're 5 days out. So this is really significant in terms of leadership. We've got a president, vice president, and an acting secretary of labor that have walked a picket line for the UAW. They are already in the pocket of big union bosses, and they've stated that. So if you're USMX representing the 36 ports, you have no incentive to come to the table if it's led by this administration because they've already shown their cards. They're already in the pocket of labor. So there's no way that you can mediate with credibility. That's not leadership. We need it. We need it now.
That's a great point. Chris, real quick before you go, what is your assessment of the economic situation today, and how does that worsen should a strike happen?
Well, I think week over week is how you measure this. I was involved in the Taft-Hartley in 2002 when the West Coast port shut down for nearly 2 weeks, and we measured in advance the impact that shutdown was going to have week over week. So when I say a week equals a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks equal a quarter, you could see this spill well into 2025. The ramifications, not just to the supply chain, including trucking, but the entire economy. Choice will be limited and prices are going to be higher. So that's not good news going into an election, going into the holidays. This administration needs to get to the table and broker a deal right now.
Wow. All right, Chris, great information from you, and we so appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.